What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. I've said it on a number of occasions on the YouTube channel that Dead Space and the Dead Space franchise is one of my favorite horror games of all time. And guys, I've got to say, I've been talking on the YouTube channel now for a while to try and kind of create some movement, some excitement around the possibility of a Dead Space 4. And obviously, there's been a lot of you that have chimed in and said that you would love a Dead Space 4 as well. And I think that even though Visceral Games got shut down by EA, the creators, of course, of the Dead Space universe, I think that there's still hope out there that this series could make a resurrection in one capacity or another, say with the next generation of consoles. So in this first segment of the show, I want to talk about Dead Space 4 and everything that we want in Dead Space 4. And when I say we, guys, I'm mainly talking about myself here, but I know some of you are going to share the similar opinions as myself. And those of you who don't, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So Dead Space 4, guys, I've been talking about this for quite some time, and I've got to say that one of the big things for me with this game, the possibility of this game, is just a continuation of Isaac Clarke and his his story arc and his continuation here. I even wouldn't mind necessarily him kind of being in the next game, but he's kind of almost a side character, and there's like a new character that kind of takes the helm, because we had 3 games, right? Almost like a trilogy of games with Isaac Clarke, and maybe it's time now that someone else takes the helm, and Isaac Clarke kind of is a side character, right, for Dead Space 4. But that's kind of a possibility. But I think, guys, that really, all in all, I just want to see a continuation of this game. That's the first thing that I really want. I want a continuation, of course, of the campaign as well, of the story, of the lore. And I'm not sure exactly where, my mind would go as far as where we want this to be set in, that being Dead Space 4. But what I will tell you is this: it needs to go back to the original couple of games. I thought Dead Space 1 was incredible. Dead Space 2 even elaborated and did things even better than the first Dead Space. And then the third Dead Space was kind of a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion. I know a lot of other people in the community also believe that. Felt like they went from an action RP, more of like a horror game, to an action game. And so that was something that really, I think, kind of hurt the franchise in a way, because it's based around horror. It's supposed to be a horror game, right? So I think the first big thing that I want is for obviously some new settings, but I also think that it's really important that you go back to what made Dead Space so great. Make it more so about that intense horror elements, gritty horror, instead of the action. The action will come in Dead Space 4, but keep it based and grounded around the horror elements that made the franchise so great in the first place. The next thing, guys, is going to be, for me, is customization. I think that this is a game primed for continued customization. It's really cool that throughout the course of the story, you can kind of upgrade your armor, Isaac Clarke's armor, that is, as you're going through the story, and your character becomes, tougher and tougher as you go. I think that's awesome, but I would love to see an elaboration on that. That leads me to the next thing, which is co-op and multiplayer. I think this is a game primed for multiplayer experiences, guys. I think of even games like Gears of War that could be similar to something like Dead Space 4. I think of, the Horde mode in Gears of War, and how that could translate even over to Dead Space 4, and like going up against waves of necromorphs and other, creatures and such. And you could do that by yourself or with other friends on a multiplayer, in a multiplayer experience and environment would be absolutely incredible. Having multiple ways to customize your characters, I just think it's primed for that, and I feel like Dead Space was a little bit behind other games, because when Dead Space 3 came out, they finally introduced co-op, but no multiplayer, and I almost felt like a little bit too late at that point. So I would love to see more customization. I would love to see, earnable items and such within multiplayer. I think there needs to be more emphasis on the multiplayer experience, because that's going to bring you back to the franchise at the end of the day, similar to that of the co-op experience. You're going to play that the story or even co-op missions, which is another thing that I would love to see in Dead Space 4, where just you and your friends could get on and go at it and go on some co-op missions together throughout the course of, some Dead Space 4 side missions. And I think that would be really cool as well. Another thing I would really like to see in Dead Space 4 would be a semi-open world to maybe a full-blown open world experience. And not saying that what made Dead Space so great, guys, was the narrow corridors and those like terrifying moments. And you can still have that in an open world setting. It's just going to be certain segments of the game are going to be played in a linear more so experience, and then there's going to be other parts that are more where you can explore more. And I think that's important to have in this game, because at the end of the day, guys, we want to explore the world more. We want to explore this universe of Dead Space, build upon the legacy, build upon the lore that the first 3 games kind of started in the Dead Space universe. And so I think, guys, all of these things are important to Dead Space and the continuation here. And I just think at the end of the day that Dead Space 4 deserves to come out at some point or another. I think this was such a staple in the horror genre in video games. I mean, when you think of all these other horror games that are coming out now, sure, some of them are great, but at the end of the day, Dead Space had something really special about it that made it very eerie, and it was very exciting, action-oriented, a lot of mystery as well. I mean, they were making comics out of this, and they all kinds of different things were based around this series. And so I just really think that it would be awesome to see it continue in one way, shape, or form. And I think that it will, guys, at some point or another in the foreseeable future. But it comes down to us as a community voicing our opinions and telling EA that we want this game to come back. But that being said, guys, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What are the things that you guys want in Dead Space 4? You heard what some of the things that I would like. What are the things that you would like in this game? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Dead Space 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. One thing that I love to talk about, guys, on the YouTube channel, not only is video games, but also movies. And in particular with movies, I love talking about the superhero movies because, man, growing up, the superheroes were awesome. And there were things that, toys and collectibles that, absolutely were awesome and were just a lot of fun to play with back in the day. And to this day, now, because of the DC cinematic universe and the Marvel cinematic universe, these worlds are just like, coming to life, obviously, for us. And one of those being The Flash. And obviously, guys, this is a character that has a lot of mystery. I know that, of course, the show that is out, and then, of course, now we've been introduced to The Flash within the DC cinematic universe. But I think it's important that, obviously they're making this standalone movie, that we understand everything pretty much that we know so far about the movie and what can we expect, and then we can break it down. So let's get into it. So an article, guys, that was written by Jerica Tisdale of Cinema Blend. DC comic book fans have been waiting for the standalone The Flash movie since at least 2013. Warner Brothers announced plans for Ezra Miller to become the Scarlet Speedster in 2014, but the actual date of production on the upcoming Flash solo movie constantly shifts. It's almost like Barry Allen himself keeps messing up the timeline, causing major delays with the Flash movie. The Flash movie is one of the most highly anticipated DC Comics projects, not only because fans want to know how Ezra Miller's version of Barry Allen compares to Grant Gustin's version, but also because The Flash is one of DC's most popular characters. Everyone wants to see how The Flash ranks among the other DC movies. For now, we all just have to wait and see if this timeline sticks and The Flash really hits theaters in 2022. Now, what I will say, guys, is regarding the release date, they're stating that this is a movie that's going to come out in 2022. However, because of the pandemic that's going on in our world, the question really is there that will this be able to stick to that release date, or is it going to have to be pushed further because of the production and things of that nature? A movie like The Flash is going to take time to make. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Months upon months that they are going to take to try to make this as good of a movie as possible. And they're not going to cut any corners without a doubt. And so that's why I think that there's a possibility that this is actually going to get pushed even further. But as far as the release date, guys, officially announced The Flash that was going to be coming to theaters July 1st of 2022. The new release date hopefully means that all creative differences can be halted long enough for the film to finish by July of 2022. The delayed production and release date this go-around is mainly because Warner Brothers already has Ezra Miller contracted to appear in the third Fantastic Beasts movie, and the studio wants to accommodate his Fantastic Beasts 3 filming schedule by delaying The Flash. Now, Fantastic Beasts 3 starts filming in the spring of 2020 and is set to hit theaters on November 12th of 2021. So this is another thing that's interesting. So Ezra Miller obviously is in Fantastic Beasts, but at the end of the day, guys, we're start filming in spring of 2020. Well, obviously, a lot of these things are being shifted because of the pandemic, as I said. And so Ezra Miller is set to be in the new Fantastic Beasts movie, which is great. But at the end of the day, that's going to get delayed, which is probably going to delay The Flash. Now, The Flash is set to begin production in 2021, giving Ezra Miller plenty of time to complete filming on the next J.K. Rowling-oriented project and allowing enough room to attend promotional events for that film, which is true. It's set to begin production in 2021. The problem is, though, will Fantastic Beasts push into 2021 because of the pandemic? That's yet to be seen. As far as the Flash's movie ratings, I'm assuming, guys, PG-13. The Motion Picture Association of America is yet to give The Flash a rating, but will most likely receive a PG-13 rating following the likes of Wonder Woman and Justice League. I don't think, guys, that The Flash is going to be an R-rated movie, just because it doesn't seem like the right movie to make an R rating. Movies like Venom or, Logan and Deadpool, those are a little bit different. The Flash, I feel like they're going to want to, really bring this movie out to the masses. So I highly doubt that they're going to make this an R-rated movie. Who is directing The Flash? In 2015, Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter, Pride and Prejudice, and Zombies writer Seth Grahame-Smith was set to make his directorial debut with The Flash. However, in 2016, Warner Brothers cut Grahame-Smith's involvement with the project, both citing creative differences as the reason for his departure. Also in 2016, Dope director Rick Famuyiwa took over the role as the Flash director. However, by the end of October in 2016, Rick also exited the project, citing creative differences as well. Then, of course, in 2018, The Flash had once again found a director, this time the team of John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, who previously wrote the screenplay for Spider-Man Homecoming. By July 2019, due to reported creative clashes between Ezra Miller and John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, the two new directors were out, and Andy Muschietti stepped in as the latest director to tackle The Flash. Andy Muschietti previously directed both of the It movies, so he has worked with Warner Brothers in the past, and there's precedent for this iteration to move forward. Still, the Flash movie has over a year production is supposed to begin, so we'll have to wait and see if Andy Muschietti remains as its director. Which is interesting that Ezra Miller's having creative differences, and there's creative differences, of course, between the writers, the directors, Warner Brothers, Ezra Miller. It's kind of a mess, really, at this point, guys. I feel like The Flash very well may be in somewhat of a development hell kind of stage, especially because of the pandemic going on. It just feels like nothing's going right for this movie. And then on top of that, Ezra Miller is also slated to do Fantastic Beasts. Now, the screenwriter, with the changes in directors, there also came changes in screenwriters. The Flash CW TV series and Arrowverse co-creators Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim wrote a version of the Flash movie, but Warner Brothers decided to go with Phil Lord and Chris Miller's treatment, which former director Seth Grahame-Smith turned into a script. So John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein reportedly wanted to take a comedic approach to the Flash movie, but Ezra Miller wanted the film to have darker themes, so he started to develop his own script with comic book writer Grant Morrison. So, what is this movie going to be about? By the way, guys, I really like that Ezra Miller wanted to go kind of do some darker themes. I kind of like that because when we look at Justice League, we look at Batman versus Superman, we look at, the Batman's going to be coming out. I think, darker themes all around is good, in my opinion. Like, you look at Marvel, overall, it's pretty bright colors and such. When you look at DC, it's a little bit darker, grittier, and I think that's what people like about it. Now, what is the story? At the 2017 San Diego Comic-Con, DC Comics announced the Flash movie would follow the Flashpoint storyline. In the Flashpoint storyline, Barry travels back in time to prevent his mother's murder. This change in events causes the timeline to shift, creating a new universe where the Justice League no longer exists. The Flashpoint timeline includes a few major changes, like how Bruce Wayne died instead of his parents, which results in Thomas Wayne becoming the new Batman and Martha Wayne becomes the new Joker. Or, for example, Kal-El finds himself trapped by the government, becoming their lab rat since landing on Earth. Instead of Superman saving the day, now Cyborg is the new lead superhero. The Flashpoint storyline also involves a war between Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Now, what I got to say about this, guys, I like this. I think that this sounds pretty interesting, right? We know the Batman story. We know, we're starting to learn more and more about each of these characters, like Joker, Superman, and all these other, DC characters. It'll be interesting to see some differences based upon the Flashpoint storyline. So I think if they stick with that, I think it might actually land well. Now, Ezra Miller, guys, is obviously the one who's going to be playing Barry Allen. I think that he's great. Iris West, Kiersey Clemens is going to be playing Iris West. I'm excited for that pick as well. And then as far as Billy Crudup playing as Henry Allen, I think that that's going to be interesting. You've got Cyborg, you're going to have Wonder Woman, that being played by Gal Gadot and Ray Fisher, which I like both of them. I still don't know what I think about Ray Fisher as Cyborg. I mean, it's hard to tell based on just Justice League. I do like his character. Maybe I just don't like how they made Cyborg look. I'm not really sure. But Gal Gadot, she's actually really, I think, for what it is, for what it's worth, I think that she looks the part, obviously, as Wonder Woman. I don't really think she's a great actress, but nonetheless, I think that she definitely fits the part of Wonder Woman. And now, as far as when will the Flash movie production begin? Production on the Flash movie is set to start in 2021. Since Warner Brothers wants the Flash to come out on July 1st, 2022, most likely the film schedule will be in early 2021 so that Ezra Miller will be free to help promote Fantastic Beasts 3 around October and November. So that all being said, guys, this is pretty much everything that we know so far about this title. It's not a lot, but it's, we're starting to understand more and more as we go here about the story. And what I will say, guys, is I'm excited for it. I really am. It seems like there might be problems right now that with the production and with, creative differences and the pandemic going on and, schedule conflicts for Ezra Miller and such. But whenever it comes out, I think we're all going to be really excited about it. Let me know what you guys are most excited about with the Flash movie in the comment section below. And for more The Flash content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. When Phase 5 first released or became the first recruitment challenge that Phase ever released to the world, it was all based around Call of Duty. And obviously, guys, things over the years with gaming changing and such, we don't know what that's going to look like for Phase 5 in 2020. So the question I want to propose here today is, will Phase 5 be Call of Duty only? And when I say that, guys, is, look, up to this point, with each and every one of the Phase 5, or just really the Phase Recruitment Challenge, whether you're talking about Phase 5 or Phase 1, it has been strictly based around Call of Duty. And primarily trick-shotting and sniping if we're talking about Phase 5 and even Phase 1, right? So what I'm getting at is will Phase 5 in 2020 be only based around Call of Duty once again? And I think, guys, that the short answer to this is no. I think that with gaming, that has changed. Okay, obviously, in my opinion, gaming has changed in a number of different ways. And I think that it's progressed over time as well. Look, the trick-shotting and sniping communities within Call of Duty were niche communities. And back in the day, guys, back in like 08, 09, and even into 10 and 11, obviously these communities, or this trick-shotting sniping communities, really felt like a massive deal, a massive, majority of Call of Duty, even though it was in reality a niche community. But nowadays, trick shotting and sniping has really declined in a significant way. And so I think that it wouldn't make a lot of sense for FaZe to do Phase 5 based around Call of Duty trick shotting and sniping. Now, Call of Duty as a whole, like maybe content creation, streaming, as well as trick shotting and sniping, I could maybe see that. But if the past tells us anything, there was a video that went up with FaZe Banks, I believe FaZe Rain and FaZe Adapt, where they were announcing that there was going to be another Phase 5. And this was back a couple of years ago. The video's been deleted off of the YouTube channel. And they announced that there was going to be a Phase 5. It was going to be all based around Fortnite, however. And so when word got around about that, I think what that tells me is that if they're doing Phase 5 for real this time in 2020, I don't think it's going to be specific to Call of Duty. Now, I think Call of Duty is going to have its part in it. Obviously, it needs to, because that's the traditions of Phase 5. But I think that there's a very good possibility that, you know, Call of Duty might take a backseat, or it may share the glory with a game like Fortnite. I just wouldn't be surprised, guys. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was multi-games, like multiple different games that you can play. It's not just Call of Duty. It's not just Fortnite. You could play Apex. You could play, you know, whatever game you really wanted to play, and you would have a chance at joining FaZe as far as their organization. And I think that's awesome. I think that gives a ton more opportunity. How that's going to work is, you know, a whole nother thing, and how they're planning on, you know, making that work is going to be very interesting as it comes out. But I just don't see it, guys. The Call of Duty trick shotting sniping communities are not as big as they used to be, and FaZe is going to want this to be the biggest Phase 5 of all time. They're going to want this to be like a community event. They're going to want this to be like a gaming event, unlike, you know, unlike anything we've seen in gaming, right? And so by doing that, I don't think you're going to stick with Call of Duty trick shotting and sniping. You're going to be doing something that might have a portion of Call of Duty trick shotting and sniping, but it's also going to be amongst other games as well. I'll give you an example. The 5 players or 5 people that would get recruited to FaZe, one may be a streamer, one may be a YouTuber or a content creator, one may be a trick shotter, one may be a sniper, and then one may be like a Fortnite player. That's kind of more realistic to me than it would be just, we're going to pick up 3 trick shotters, 2 snipers, or something like that. It just doesn't make a lot of sense in that way in 2020 at least. Unless they had some really creative way to do it and it really just blew the community back up in a massive way. I don't see that happening, but at the end of the day, you can never say never, right? But let me know, guys. I kind of want to pass the question on to all of you. We've been talking about Phase 5 videos, and we have Phase 5 videos every single day. You guys should definitely check them out. But what I'll say is this. If they do Call of Duty only, I think that it would be a big deal. I think it would really be a big deal that Phase 5 is back. I think a ton of people would go for it. But if they made it based around Call of Duty as well as other games, it would be so huge. It could be absolutely astronomical as far as the response that they would get. They would probably get hundreds of thousands of responses if you made it a multi-game type of ordeal. But like I said, I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Will Phase 5 be Call of Duty only, or is it going to be multiple different games that they're going to have at our disposal to be able to play to possibly join FaZe? Let me know what you guys think. And for more Phase 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. As I've said before, guys, Mafia 4 is a very special game to my heart. It's up there, and as far as one of my favorite, games of all time, and it's definitely one of those games that I personally have enjoyed more than Grand Theft Auto. And even though I compare the two of them so much, number one, they're both from Take-Two, which of course is the publisher. Rockstar Games, of course, makes GTA, and Hangar 13 makes Mafia, but I've just always loved Mafia and that style, even though it's kind of similar to GTA, but it's, going in the past, whereas GTA is more, a modern day type of game. The one thing, though, that I've said that on multiple occasions, even though I like Mafia more than GTA, it's just my personal opinion, I've always said that I give credit to Grand Theft Auto in a major way because they have evolved that franchise much better than Mafia. Mafia has stayed pretty much a single player campaign. and nothing else to it other than that. Whereas Grand Theft Auto is a campaign, a multiplayer experience. You can play co-op with your friends and things of that nature, having community events, and they've just evolved that franchise much better than that of, Hangar 13 with Mafia. Well, in this segment of the show, I want to talk about Mafia 4 and everything that we want in this game, and the hopes that we're going to be getting a Mafia 4. The talk is, of course, and the rumblings are that Mafia 4 is under development by Hangar 13, and I just want to kind of give my 2 cents as to what it is that I would like to see out of this game, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. So let's get into it. Number one, guys, many times I've said this on a multitude of occasions. Las Vegas, Mafia 4 would be absolutely incredible in my opinion. I would love to see it. I think that Las Vegas is a perfect setting. Exploring Las Vegas back then or modern day or even a little bit in the future, that's another thing that I'll get to here later. But Las Vegas as a setting, absolutely. Number 2, guys, I'd like to see even more new characters introduced into Mafia 4. I think it's important that you continue, growing the story, growing the entirety of the scope of this story. I think it's going to be really important because very likable characters that we've seen in all 3 of the Mafia games up to this point, I want them to continue, obviously, with that. And if they go into a setting like more modern day or even a little bit into the future, I would like to see, obviously, some new, very much so likable characters with some, kudos to the past, 3 Mafia games. That leads me to the next thing, guys, which is the time period. For me, guys, I'm fine with Las Vegas back in the 20s or back in, the 40s, wherever, whatever time period is. But I would love to see a more modern day Mafia game or, somewhat futuristic Mafia game. And I know what you're thinking. Well, the Mafia was, in power back then, not now. But I think that some of the things that, are very much so from back then can be somewhat relevant to this day. There's differences, obviously. Times have changed, but I think at the end of the day, they would really show that they're trying to evolve Mafia into, and continue it into other, modern day time periods. And I think GTA, they've done, kind of really good things with this in the modern day, even, up to this point. Who knows where that series is going? But I'm just saying that I wouldn't mind seeing a modern day Mafia game because we've seen 3 games based on, obviously, the past. It'd be interesting to see something more modern or maybe slightly futuristic. Maybe that would ruin the charm of it, but I think that would be kind of interesting. The next thing, guys, and this is a big one for me, is multiplayer. Having multiplayer experience, a Mafia Online similar to GTA Online would be incredible. Imagine going on heists with your friends in Las Vegas and, just having all these different missions and such that you can do outside of the campaign. We said this on a multitude of occasions that the campaign's incredible. I love the campaign of Mafia. It's one of the reasons why it's one of my favorite games. But the problem here is after you're done playing the campaign, you got no other reason really to come back to the game unless DLC comes out, right? So I think it's important to have, a full package deal, right? Where you're going to have, multiplayer experiences, co-op experiences, and then, of course, your campaign that you're able to go through a couple of times. And so I think that's going to be really important as well in Mafia 4. And I'm really hoping that Hangar 13 ends up making multiplayer experiences. That leads me in the next thing, which is, what if Mafia 4 was free to play? And I think this is a really interesting concept because, look, Mafia is not nearly as big of a game as GTA, right? And we've even seen GTA Online and such go free to play at times. And I mean, look, I just think that Mafia 4 could really do well being a free-to-play game where you have the multiplayer experiences and like Mafia Online, having microtransactions in different ways that they can make money through those means, I think could really actually help the franchise not only grow in a substantial way, but also typically when you have a free-to-play game, you're more likely to pay a little bit of some, in-game currency to own a few things, whether those are just, typically, cosmetic items and such, but but you're more likely to do that with a free-to-play game because you didn't pay for it. And so at the end of the day, I think that would be a really good thing for Mafia to have it free-to-play. Obviously, I don't think they're going to do that. They're not going to want to take the risk there, but I think that could really help blow up the Mafia, just the community as a whole. I mean, it would absolutely explode in my opinion. I think it would get so big so quickly because this is becoming a staple of a franchise that people really do enjoy playing. I mean, we see a lot of spin-off games that are coming out based around, these times and such. And I think that Mafia would do really well as a free-to-play game. But all in all, guys, those are the main things that I want to see in Mafia 4. I think it's really important to have the campaign and such. I would love to see it like based in Las Vegas. I would love to see, of course, like some new characters, even the time period, maybe a change in the time period. And then on top of all of that, multiplayer experiences, co-op experiences, as well as like a Mafia online would be pretty awesome in my opinion. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what is it you want out of Mafia 4? Let me know. And for more Mafia 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.